Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. Some of you can tell exactly which game this is just by looking at it. Others of you can tell because you saw the title of the video. But this particular one, we do not have the back glass. A few people have been bringing us games lately to work on that they're not bringing us the back glass because they don't want it to get broke, and I say that's a really good idea. So we didn't get the back glass of this one, but can you tell what it is? This is one I've never had in before. SILVERBALL MANIA. Yeah, SILVERBALL MANIA. So we're going to see if we can fix this sucker. SILVERBALL MANIA. That's a pretty cool title. All of the silver has kind of yellowed, it looks like. I think all of this was supposed to be silver originally, but not no mo. Poor girl. Look at her. She don't even have enough clothes to cover herself up with. You know, they knew what players wanted to see, didn't they? I imagine the back glass looks similar, but we don't have it. But you know what? Maybe I could just edit one in. You think I could just edit one in? Here. Maybe I can just get one to pop in there. Yeah, that's it. SILVERBALL MANIA. What a cool game. So let's check out the condition of this playfield. I don't see any wear. The mylar is separating. Looks pretty rough. We're not going to do much cosmetic on this one. Looks like there was some rough stuff going on around these two inserts too. See how they're chipped up above them there? So you got a little bit of trouble. Now if you look, see that line right there across the playfield that's crooked underneath Mania? That's because an operator has placed a piece of mylar on it at some point that they cut themselves. So if you look over here, there's a rounded edge. And then it goes across here, crooked. This drives some people crazy. Doesn't drive me crazy at all. Let's see if they did it after they cleaned it. So let's see what it looks like underneath the mylar. If we close up, yeah, it's pretty clean. So a lot of people, they just can't leave well enough alone, and they go peeling that stuff off. And when you peel it off on an old machine like this, it's going to take all of this lettering off of these inserts. And you'll hear people say, "Oh no, I did mine and it came out just perfect. I used freeze spray," or "I used heat on mine, it came out just perfect." Just to remove that one piece of mylar and these two pieces that really kind of need it, you're talking, you know, probably 20 hours of work, something like that. And then it'll damage the art under it. And then you have to touch all that up because you didn't like the line was crooked on the mylar. I don't have the skill to do it, folks. So that's that. So we're going to leave that. Now, here we have, have y'all heard that before? Here we have a plastic that the ball goes under. Any game that has a ball go under the plastic's going to break. Just how it is. So that's another one. You might be able to find a reproduction plastic and replace that. That's thicker, that will hold up better. But you're probably not going to find an original one that isn't broke already, sadly. So that's that. There is a little duck. That's a baby. Isn't that one? That's Huey, Dewey, or Louie, isn't it? My dad used to joke about that all the time. There's three brothers, Ronnie, Donnie, and then Joey. And he said he was thinking about calling Joey Lonnie, but decided against it. Joey was the youngest. In respect for Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They have replaced the rebound bumper, it looks like, I would assume, with a white one. That's pretty cool. I've never seen that. The ones I've seen are all brown. One like every game. They're brown. But on this one, it's white. That's pretty cool. A little bit of wear up there at the top. Not much. All in all, things in pretty nice shape, in my opinion. It's unfortunate. Oh, it's unfortunate that that Mylar looks like that. So what's going on there is it's lifted slightly. All of that clouding you're seeing is that has detached from the playfield, and wax and stuff has gotten under there. Made it look really ugly. Might be able to clean that and make it look a little better. Another thing you could do is cut it, the loose part, but that would look pretty bad. Might look better cut than like that though, but like I said, we're not really going to do much cosmetic. We're just going to get her playing. Primo, baby. So that's what's going on the playfield. Let's look in the back box, shall we? The glass is already off. We don't have to worry about working on the back glass. Easy peasy, here we go. We'll check out the displays first. This is player 4. Looks pretty clean. Player 2, maybe. Maybe player 3. Uh-oh. So see those little black marks on the plasma display there? Those little circles? Those are burn marks from over voltage. Oh boy. Ooh, the first player one's kind of rough. So what we might do is, depending on how they look, sometimes even though they're burnt like that, they look all right, but we'll see. If we get everything working, we might take those burnt ones and put them down there and put the 2 clean ones up top, because if you're playing like a 2-player game, you want the score readable, you know. 3 or 4-player game, they're just kind of hangers on. You can buy those new LED ones, but you kind of need to replace all of them. The customer's not talking about that. He just wants us to get it working. Okay. I like the layout of the light bulbs. Look how linear it is. It's all symmetric and everything. That's pretty cool. Usually it's all over the place. All right, all right. So here is our rectifier board. Looks pretty good. Usually that connector there, that big one down on the bottom, is all burned up. See the burn mark right in the middle there? But that's not too bad. That one, see how the edge is cut? So that tells me that's been replaced at some point. So someone has worked over this at some point in its life, which makes sense because we're a long ways from 1980. Or whenever this came out. So the power goes to that rectifier, and then it comes up here to this solenoid driver board, which this particular one is actually out of a Stern pinball machine. But at that vintage, the Stern pinball machines were copies of the Bally electronics system. The actual playfields and the themes and stuff were unique, but the actual board sets, at least for a little while there, were exact copies. So that board is completely compatible with this Bally machine, even though Stern made it. So that's cool. It has not been really worked all that much. It still has its original filter cap. So we might mess with that. Looks like at some point there was a resistor here that smoked. Or that may just be dirt. What do you think? Is it dirt? Zzz. It's not dirt. It's smoked at some point. Or there's at least some heat on it. Also, yeah, it's a different resistor. See the ones beside it? They're your more traditional little, I don't know, what would you call that? Caterpillar resistors. And this one's the tube one, which is actually like an older kind of model. So that has probably been replaced at some point. This transistor probably locked on and burn up the resistor. Okay, so moving right along, let's check out this MPU. So, as you know, if you're a Bally guy or a pinball guy or girl, you probably know that they made the decision to put a battery on the bottom of these boards. And unfortunately, the battery starts leaking and eating up the board. So you see a little bit of it there. But I gotta tell you, that's not much. This is one of the absolute cleanest Bally MPUs I think I've ever seen. Let's help it be cleaner. Come on, metal. Fatigue, metal. Do we have a date on here? Let me look at it. No date that I can discern. So that thing will leak and leak battery juice all over this freaking thing. It leaks upward somehow. It just leaches through all of the connections and the wires. And I've heard they outgas even, that the gas can do it. I don't know if that's true, but maybe. And then sometimes they will drip down on this lamp driver board here underneath it. This lamp driver board looks completely untouched. At first glance, it's pretty clean, but then I do see a little bit of corrosion. So see on the side of these how it's all green? So that is like a brass thing, so they should look like that. But see how they've gotten green on us? That's a pretty common thing too. A lot of times it's nothing, it's just, you know, it's not that big of a deal, but look at the leg of that one. Whoa, we went too far. Look at that bottom leg. Right? Look at that one. So, that's going to need cleaned up a little bit. May or may not be a problem. All right, moving right along. Here is the soundboard. This is about the one that was in like Future Spa, I think, and maybe Bally's Kiss. That's how it looks to me, at least. So I would put this at sometime around there. It's not their earliest soundboard, but it's, I think, their third soundboard. See, it says 79. That is a ROM, or yeah, ROM. PROM, I guess, programmable, but not erasable. That's going to be a RAM chip, probably a 6810. Motorola used numbers that only they knew, right? So 7945, that's the 45th week of 1979. That's going to be a 6810 chip. This is going to be a PIA, a 6821. All the Ballys use 6821s. 43rd week of 79. And then this is going to be a 6800 CPU, 45th week of 79. I think. I may have that wrong, but I think that's what's going on. Or maybe this is the 6800. Oh no, that's a sound chip. That's an 8910. Is it? Yeah. AY3 8910. Very popular sound chip. Early sound chip. So that makes it play its little melodies and stuff. All in all, surprisingly very clean. The thing's in pretty decent shape. So we have a box here from the customer that I believe has a coil in it or something or the other. And we've got a AN261200. So it has two lugs. So it's probably a pop bumper cap. I mean a coil. And then I see another one over here. See how this one has three lugs? That's going to be a flipper coil. It has a dual winding. Let's see who's calling. Moving right along. Uh-oh. Oh, no, people. Oh, man. It was going so good, too. Here we go with the fuses. Once they start with the fuses, you run into problems. Some people came in. Okay, so we're going to plug it up and turn it on, I think. Well, maybe I should look under the Playfield first. Let me take the glass off real quick, and we'll look under the Playfield just to make sure. Some people came in. I found something you're going to love. You're going to love this. Now, you saw I just broke this off the board, right? Look at this. I was cleaning up. They had another one. Look, it's never been installed. They had another one ready to go, people. They were supposed to change this out many years ago. I can't really complain too much, though, because it didn't do much damage, but they were going to double assault us here. Okay, so let's look under the Playfield to make sure there's no problems down there. And then we'll try to fire this sucker up and see what she does. What do you think? I think that's a good plan. Are you ready for your heart to rejoice? This is where everybody comes back together. You know how, like, politically people fight on both sides of the aisle, you know? I'm gonna bring everybody together at one time. Not politically, but I'm gonna bring all of the pinball people together. The people on my side and the people on the other side are all gonna come together right now. Look at that. I'm the great uniter now. Three pop bumper caps. I'll bet. There we go. I'll bet that's the original caps. And the ones that they've got on there are just generic ones from us. Those are actually, I think, from a Stern game. I think those are similar to what's on, like, Meteor. I think. We'll look it up. So these are probably the original ones. The deal with that is the ones that have the specific artwork on them sometimes are hard to get historically. Now, they've got them now. I think you can get them. We'll have to see how much the guy wants us to spend here. Here is the manual, obviously. Oh, I love finding these. Out of, I guess that's supposed to be order, but it doesn't really say order. Old loose leaf paper. There's some numbers on it. 1,795, 1,560 plus tax, $1,300. Somebody was the big baller. Big baller. All right, and then this would have been the bag that came with it originally. Some more paperwork, some schematics. Oh, here's another note. Oh, I see some goodies. Here's another note. This says, okay, history. Now this kind of looks like a woman's handwriting to me. SILVERBALL. 1. 5 is current credit. So they're just writing down the different settings. 6 total plays played. So they're telling you the settings that are mentioned in the manual. And basically, they're looking up the values, and maybe they were all 0 because they had just replaced the battery. But look what else I saw in there. Oh, these. A couple flipper rings. Look what else I saw in there. Come on. They want to see. That's been hand inked, I think, because I've actually done that before. You can take like a Sharpie and do that. But it looks new too. Well, a little bit of, see that little brown stain there? So it's been used. So those go on the very top. But if you were to replace one, it would stick out, you know. Interesting. Okay, well, that's what was in the bag, folks. So with all that said, let's look under the playfield here. We'll start at the top, okay? There's a button here that hangs down under the playfield. I don't know what that's for. We'll have to figure that out. I've never seen that on a Bally. Now they have a button here on the coin door. That's the test button. And that would probably hang right here where you could get to it really easy. I don't know why that is. I've never seen that on a Bally. We have this flipper. That's been replaced at some point. Just looks a little new and it doesn't say Bally on it. Then we have this flipper. This is not the way to do it, folks. It might work like that, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. Come on, people. Come on now. Come on, people. That's not how you. People, you're not supposed to do that. Come on now. Okay, so this coil looks like it's been pretty toasty at some point. It might have to do, yeah, see, look, there's a wire broke off, probably because they knew this coil's locking on. What a hell of an assembly there. It makes the whole coil move up. Wow. Okay, so that's a kick save. That if that coil pulls in, it can lock that in place to where now, if this pulls in, it kicks the ball. But I guess at the same time, so it's locked up, but if it pulls in, it kicks the ball and falls down. Took some machinations to make that happen. Okay, so here's the right kicker. It's burnt slap the hell up. This is always interesting too. 25,500, 34, 4,500. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so here's the left kicker. That's typical that you see them in. It probably works fine. Here are the pop bumpers. Middle one looks all right. Left one has been disconnected, probably because it was stuck on. Right one. So that one's bad. That one's bad. That one's bad, and that one's bad. We got 4 bad coils on the same machine. The whole machine only has 10 coils, counting the kicker up here, which hopefully it's not bad. Okay. Well, it looked real good in the back box, but under the playfield's like a freaking horror movie. Let's try plugging it up and see if she'll boot. Let's see if the boards are working. So it has been plugged up. Let's see if she'll do anything. Now, if you've watched these before, if you know about Bally's, there is a little LED down there on the bottom that we want to light up real quick. It'll do a quick flash and then light up 7 more times. Quick flash, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, I'll tell you, the board is working just fine. The game is booted. A bunch of the lights are working. You heard the sound work. That's surprising. I didn't think it would do that much. And all 5 displays are working. Now you can see what I was talking about. This is a nice clean display here. You know, I don't know what to think about this camera. On some games, whenever I film some of this, it shows this looks horrible and it doesn't look how it looks here to the naked eye. But today, that's exactly how it looks here in person. So I don't know, this camera has a mind of its own. So here's one that's burnt. It's just been over voltaged. But this one's also burnt, but it doesn't really look that bad. It's kind of presentable like that. That's not bad at all. And that one looks good. And then the first player one's pretty bad. So it's at least booting up. Let's see if it'll play. One credit. Here's the questionable one. She's flipping. It did not shoot at the ball. Remember I was saying it had 4 bad coils and I just assumed this one worked? Okay. Are any of our solenoids working? I don't believe they are. There's really not that many. There's 2 flippers. That kicker should be working. Yeah, we've got a blown fuse. That's what's going on. But we do have most of the switches working. Well, I bet that's real fun to play. If once it was there, though, you wouldn't be able to hit it. Okay, so you're hearing a click, click, all that. It's this coil here. So the solenoid voltage is there. Also, the game won't boot without solenoid voltage. There's a fuse under the Playfield, though, that that handles all of the coils. So that fuse is blown, but remember there's so much stuff under there that's burned up. That explains why it's blown. That one pop bumper there that was also burnt up didn't have the wire removed from it yet, so that was probably the deal. So maybe I pull that off. Well, I'm trying to think about what our method of attack should be here. Let me check and see how much stuff the owner wants us to do to this. I mean, obviously he wants us to get it all playing, but how much of the Backbox stuff does he want us to work through whenever it's already working? Okay, so we're going to have to order some coils. We did have one, but I don't think that's going to be enough. So my theory is both of these are bad. This one's bad. And this one's bad. So I'm going to show you how to check them and how you can tell if it's the coil or if it's the board in the back. There is a diode on the coil. Sometimes it's the diode, but it's hardly ever the diode. If you buy a new coil, you get a new diode. Now the diode is only 5 cents, so if you get lucky and it is the diode, then that's a good thing, but it's hardly ever the diode. Okay, so we're on diode test. If you can handle my meter not being perfectly clean, we use this a lot, folks. We work on cars and stuff. We get dirt all over our hands, you know. we work on stuff. You see how filthy this game is? We're not working on museum pieces here. We're here in the real world, as Alan Jackson said. So all you got to do... Actually, I'm not going to use my diode test. I'm going to use my ohm test. Now, we're just going to check between the two lugs. Now, it's easier with two hands, but if I check across the two lugs, I'm getting 10 ohms. So that coil is actually fine, but it's overheated and it's stuck. So we're going to get a new one because it's overheated. However, that would not cause the fuse to blow. Basically, if you're down below like 2 ohms, that's going to be your problem. Let's see if we can focus on that. So we're trying to see if the switch is stuck. It is not. So basically, when the ball rolls up on the top on the skirt, it moves this little blade, which is in this conical piece of plastic here, which makes the switch move. And when the switch touches that part of the switch, it tells the board to turn this on and pull it in. That's all hot and everything. Just because it's burnt doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. But like I said, that one, the reason that the thing can't move down in there is because this got so hot, which your first clue is how brown the wrapper is. It got so hot that it melted the plastic nylon sleeve that goes through the middle around this plunger. So it's all melted up in there. I'll show you that whenever we get the new coils. It's all melted, and that's the problem. So here's one. This is what a good one looks like. Now you can't go just by appearance because, like I said, that one just tested 10 ohms, which is about right. If you get down below about 2 ohms, then the coil itself probably has a short in it, right? So here's one. This is about how they usually look. This game's from 79 or 80. So this is a 43-year-old coil. And if you notice how that still moves in just fine. And it's not really brown like it's been overheated. So that one's probably just fine. But we'll test with our meter. Now I've still got the board plugged in, which can cause you problems sometimes. But you can see that this one gives you the same measurement because they're the same exact coil, right? This one did get hot, but it didn't get hot enough that it ruined the windings and melted 2 of them together. This wire is wrapped around here hundreds of times, right? And if it gets hot enough, the coating on the wire will melt off, and then that wire will touch that wire, and it'll be shorted. But I mean, you replace it if that happens, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you would be able to notice it with a meter, because if 2 adjacent windings touch, maybe they were only 1 revolution apart on the spool. So basically, you have a wire that starts here, and it's like 300 feet long, and then ends here. And that's how the coil's made. Well, if 200 feet down that wire, there's a section that long that's shorted together, well, it just means that instead of a 300-foot wire, you have a 299 and 8-inch wire. So it's going to be about the same resistance, you know. Okay, so here's the one that I think may be blowing the fuse. If the fuse is blown, should we check? Yeah. So that fuse has 516 ohms of resistance. A fuse should basically be a dead short, so you should have hardly anything resistance. So here's the one below it, which goes to the flippers, and it's 0.5 as I'm measuring it, right? 0.2, so it's not even 1 ohm resistance, right? So, yeah, something's blowing that one fuse. So let's see if it's this one. We're looking for a Bally. Oh, what is this? This coil measures 0.4 ohms. Boy, my camera skills are just fantastic today, aren't they? 0.4 ohms. So it's all brown. It's probably shorted inside, right? And this won't go in. Well, we're going to have to replace that anyway. So I'm just going to cut this smaller wire off. Now, if you cut the bigger wire off, this is basically the voltage coming in. It's probably 43 volts or whatever. So this is the voltage coming in. This wire goes back to the solenoid driver board, and one of those transistors, whenever the computer tells that transistor to short, basically that transistor shorts ground to that wire. So the computer controls when this gets ground. It's already got power. So as soon as that happens, clunk, it pulls in violently because it's just a straight piece of wire that you're connecting power to both sides of. Now, you can just unplug that board and do the same thing that I'm doing. The reason I cut the wire is because obviously I'm going to change this coil. It's all messed up. Right? So we're going to measure now. It's no longer connected to the board and see if it's still shorted. My guess would be that it is. And it is. So that coil was still hooked up and it's shorted. So what that means is as soon as the game would come on, this would be shorted on. Right? And it's only going to do that for a while. And the amperage running through this fuse with a dead short is going to blow the fuse. So that's what happened. Now, I don't like that they had 7.5 fuses in the back. So let's see if this is a 7.5 fuse. Yep. So that's a 7.5 amp fuse. That's not a good idea, people. Come on, people. So I had somebody leave a comment the other day, and they said that I should be a kindergarten teacher because I keep treating all of the viewers like they're 5-year-olds. That's not what I'm doing at all. The only reason I go through stuff like this is because we get new viewers constantly. There's a big churn rate on YouTube, if you don't know. So if you look at our subscribers, we've got 53,000 subscribers. None of my videos get 53,000 views. Because, you know, kind of the life of a subscriber, they find a channel that they like, they start watching all their videos, and then they kind of get burnt out. Or they feel like they've, you know, they move on to something else. So a lot of our 53,000 subscribers are still subscribed to us, but they don't watch all of our videos. The people that do watch all the videos are the new people because they just found the channel or they haven't been subscribed long. Now, that some of you, by the way, I know have been watching from the beginning. You've been watching for years. Thank you. We appreciate that. But a lot of people haven't. So a lot of people are newer. So yeah, we go over the same stuff over and over again. That's one reason. And then the other reason is because that's kind of how my mind thinks too. I like thinking things through very logically and very simply. I like taking things that are very complex, like all these wires, right? And in my mind, reducing it down to 2 wires, right? Makes it a lot easier to work on. So we just checked. This coil's definitely bad, okay? And it was blowing the fuse. So the fuse, 7.5 amps. It ain't supposed to be that. It's probably supposed to be 1 amp. We're going to look here in a minute. When you put the wrong size fuse in something, if you go up on it like that, so like and you're supposed to have a 2 amp and you go to a 7 amp, the way that works is if it's a 2 amp, it will allow 2 amps of power to go through these lines. If you put a 7 amp in, it'll allow 7 amps to go through before it blows the fuse. Well, in a dead short situation, you start running all kinds of power through it. And if it waits till it gets 7 amps running through it, you run the risk of it burning up other things. So it's not a good idea. By burning up other things, I could mean this wood here, you know. It could literally catch the freaking pinball machine physically on fire if you over voltage some fuse. Okay, so here's this kicker. It looks burnt all to hell too. Now notice somebody else has already taken that ground wire, the smaller wire, off. So we check it. 8.5 ohms. That's fine. So that coil was getting hot, but did not, is not actually burnt and shorted yet. So what's going on there? Well, it could be that once it gets a lot of voltage through it, going through it, it shorts. Or what could be is that one of these switches that turns it on is stuck. So the game board is constantly telling that to turn on. It's saying, hey, you big dummy. Nod to Fred Sanford. Hey, you big dummy. The switch is stuck. You should be kicking. And this is going, I'm kicking, I'm kicking. It's because the switch is shorted, telling it constantly to turn on. The way this is supposed to work is the switch shorts, this kicks, which makes the ball move away from the rubber ring on the kicker, and now the switch isn't touching anymore. If the switch is adjusted such that it's always on, this will just always be on, and it'll burn slap the hell up like it has. And then finally this big one here, let's check it. It is not shorted. Okay, so why is it all brown and everything? Well, the board, for whatever reason, was telling it to do that. So it could be the transistor on the board told it to do that. It could be that whatever switch turns that on, which I don't know that there is one, but was stuck down or something. But there's something going on there. This coil is not actually bad, though. It just looks bad. You see how it can still pull in? Right? So we might want to replace it, but it actually works fine. The coil is just fine. So it looks bad, but it's actually not bad, even though they've removed the wire from it. All right, so I'm going to order some coils, and let's pull out the solenoid board and look at the transistors on it and see if we can measure any bad transistors on that board. All right, so I have removed the board. These are the transistors that sync the coils. So I'm going to go through real quick and check all of them. So the way I'm going to check them is I'm just going to compare them to each other. So I've got my meter on diode check, right? I'm taking my black lead and I'm putting it on the center leg. I'm taking my red lead and I'm putting it on the two outside legs. So we're getting 0.5, almost 0.5, right? And you just go through. And you should get similar for everything, shouldn't you? Because they're all exactly the same. By the way, I don't trust the beep. So I don't ever just listen to the beep. I always look to see what's going on. Right? You can't look to see what's going on. Boy, my filming, my uh-oh. Trouble in paradise, huh? My film technique leaves a lot to be desired on this one. Okay, so look at this one. 0.334. That's troubling. That's different than the other ones, isn't it? This one's 0.540. That's what they've all kind of been. And then we get to this one, and it's different. So when you go below about 0.4, usually that means it's shorting, or it's starting to short, or it's screwed up. It could just be that it's a really dissimilar type of transistor where they've replaced it with something and it's just way off and it's not the right one, or it's just made different. But there's your sign. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that's screwed up, that's different. So let's see what the other leg says. Oh, the other leg is a dead short to the leg in the middle. All right, so what I'll do is I'm going to reach in here, and you can do it however you want, but I just kind of twist them so that we can see it at a glance whenever we turn it back over. So I'm thinking there's probably more. Now notice we just kind of have a basic understanding of how the things even work. I don't know the specifics of that transistor. It's a tip 102, or originally they were tip 120s now, but you're supposed to replace them with the tip 102, which is a more robust one. But in general, I don't even know which leg is the base, the collector, or the emitter. I don't really have a knowledge of that, but you don't really have to. When you've got 20 of the same thing, and they do the same thing, and you don't have it plugged in anything else, it's just on the board, I mean on the table, the desk, you can just do something like this, right? So are we testing between the base and the collector, or the base and emitter? I don't know. We're just testing. I found one way that you put the probes, and it gives you a number. So the number that I'm getting, 0.540, and then I'm getting on the other one 0.486. Why am I acting like those are similar? On your standard transistor or diode, anything that has a voltage gate where basically it's doing something, you know, an active, a semiconductor, right? It's not completely conducting, it's semi-conducting. On anything like that, you've got three general states that it can be in, at least on this old stuff. So you've got, it could be shorted, which was 0.000, and shorted is kind of up to about 0.4. So that one's 0.334. That's a little, you know, that's kind of in that zero range. You know, it's not quite where it needs to be. It should be up over 0.4, like that is. So this is kind of in the shorted category, even though it's not definite, but it's letting you know that. And then, of course, we were able to see that the other leg's completely shorted, so there's definitely something screwed up in there. Okay. So the short condition is probably actually between the two outside legs. So if I was to check those, yeah. See how I've got 0.325 if I measure the two outside legs on a good one? So those have a different relationship, right? That's just the relationship those two legs have. So what's going on is this one center leg is shorted to one of the outside legs, which then has the 0.33 connection to the other one, like they all do, right? But it gave us a little clue there since it was different, and then when we found it on the other set, right? So that's shorted. Okay, if you've got the 0.4 up to about 0.7, that's kind of like correct. There's a voltage drop there. It's semi-conducting. Obviously, I'm uneducated, right? And then if you're up above 0.7, then it's kind of open. So if you reverse your leads, like if I'm using the red on the center, and then the black on the outside, on this particular one, there is no connection. It stays an open line. Anything over about 0.7 is pretty much an open line. All right. So that's basically open. So you can have shorted, a voltage drop, or open. So shorted is up to about 0.4. Voltage drop is between 0.4 and 0.7. Open is about above 0.7. So all of these test fine except for that one. They all test like they're the same. We have one here that seems different. And I twisted it a little bit so I could see it easily from the top. So we're going to pull that out and replace it. Now if you look, there's one here that they've already replaced. Okay. So I'm going to look that up. That's Q1. And then the one that's shorted is Q8. We're going to look that up in the manual and see what those go to. So we're looking in the manual. Now remember, this is a stern, right? But it's the same. There's very small differences, but it's pretty much the same. So we want Q1 and Q8. Let's find Q1 first, since they already replaced that one. What have they historically been having trouble with? So here's Q1, and it drives, not used, but look how it does too. Also not used. Huh. So what's going on there? This was in another game. So we know that this one was replaced in antiquity, because if I took it out of this board, it would still work fine in a SILVERBALL MANIA. So if you wanted to be super cheap, this one over here that's messed up, you could take this one out, take that transistor, pop it in there, and be fine. If you look, there's several that aren't used. Q5 is also not used, right? All right, so Q8 was our other one. Where was it? Q8. The right thumper bumper. Well, what do you know? Now, what did we say? I said, I think this one's the one blowing the fuse. So did you check what was going on there? The left one tested fine, even though it's been overheated. So why is that? It's probably there was a stuck switch or something. Okay. The right kicker tested fine, even though it looked horrible. Right? And our transistor is fine. So what's going on there? Same thing. It's probably a shorted switch. The big fatty one that I shouldn't say that. The big morbidly obese one. That's a better way to put it. One that's pulling in the coil on that kickback thing. That one tested fine. It was just a little brown. So what's going on there? Well, its transistor's not bad. Nothing's going on there. It's fine, right? And then the one on the right, we've got the fuse blowing, and that one on the right didn't have the wire removed yet, and it tested shorted. So that coil is shorted, and it burnt up the transistor that drives it. Makes complete sense. So it's all coming together quickly here, folks. So while I was running into the other room, I did two things. Well, one thing I'll show you real quick, if I can find it. These schematics are great. Don't you just love these old manuals? How they show you everything. So cool. It's down at the bottom of the cabinet where it should be. So what have we here? SILVERBALL MANIA. 1 amp slow blow, 1 amp slow blow. So they're putting a 7.5 amp. That's a bad idea, folks. Don't do that. And oh look, it's got its own fuse for the up kicker and the kick and down coil. So it kicks it and knocks down, just like we just figured out. So it's got one fuse for that, and then it's got another fuse that, look, is past the flippers. So the flippers get their 43 volts, and then a fuse comes off that to make the out-hole kicker work that didn't work, the thumper bumpers work that didn't work, and the right and left slingshots work that didn't work. I wonder what that one is. Look, there's a secret coil. Maybe it's the kicker. I mean the knocker. Might be the knocker. All right, so that's one thing I checked. So it should be a 1 amp. It shouldn't be a 7.5 amp. All right. And the other thing I checked, I found the plastic, the little middle plastic. I found an original one that's not broke. You can buy them brand new. It's $160 because you got to buy the whole set. I'm not complaining about the price. I'm just saying if you only need one, that's a little steep, right? Oh, look here, I was talking about getting... That's a little steep, right? But I got to show you something. We got more viewer mail. We got this box in. At first I thought, oh, somebody knows me so well. They sent me dishwashing detergent. It is from, there's our address. It is from Riverview, Michigan. Let's see what they called themselves. Let me see. People like to remain anonymous. It says YouTube fan. A YouTube fan from, make sure I got it right, Riverview, Michigan, has sent us this. It says, Merry Christmas, Ron and Joe. Well, thank you, YouTube fan. If it's broke, use the magic pixie dust in a can to fix. I will not tell your viewer if you do. Okay, so let's see what that is. See, I like these type of people. We get people complaining, oh, you should do it, you should use this. But this guy sends it to us. How can I complain? He mailed it to us. ZEP Elect 2 Plus circuit board and energized electrical contact cleaner. Energized equipment use only. Not to be used for motorized vehicle maintenance or their parts. It's non-flammable. It's fast evaporating. It's VOC compliant. It leaves no residue, and it's low odor. VOC compliant. VOC. VOC. That would be victory over no, they don't have nothing to do with that. Warning. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so apparently this is just contact cleaner. Energized electrical equipment or electronics such as circuit boards, energized electric contact. Are they saying you use this while it's turned on? Is that what they're saying? Energized electrical equipment. When electrical current exists, or when there is a residual electrical potential from a component such as a capacitor, thus eliminating a major cause of malfunction. Wow! Oh, wait a minute. Turn off energize. We've been had. They had me thinking this, and then it was that. Turn it off, and then spray this stuff on it. Test on plastic, blah, 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 blah. If overspray contact surfaces, spray 4 to 6 inches from surface to clean. Flush parts from top to bottom to rinse away soils. Use extension tube for hard to reach areas. Well, thank you, YouTube fan. I will use this stuff, and I'll tell you, I like the ZEP stuff. Don't they make Windex too, or glass cleaner? I like their stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will use that. We do have some contact cleaner around here, but we don't have that type, so that's cool. I will not tell your viewer if you do. If you do not use on Pinball, it is still great for small contacts, like the charging tabs on earbuds. I dropped mine and could not clean using Ron's file. That's true. Small stuff that file is no good for. They are very small contacts. Your videos are addicting for people who love the game. That's, you know, we try to make them that way. You know what we're trying to do with our videos? We have an agenda. We're trying to have fun, all right? Take care and enjoy the holidays. Well, we're a little late, but we did enjoy the holidays. So thank you, YouTube fan. You rock. We appreciate you sending us this. We will cherish it, and I'm going to use every damn ounce of it. How many ounces are in here? 12 ounces. I'm going to use every ounce of it. I don't know how long it'll take me, but that's right up our alley. So thank you very much. So, very cool. All right, folks, so we're going to order the coils for the machine. If you have any comments, leave them down below. What do you think of it so far? Did you notice something I didn't notice? If you did, go ahead and leave the comment down below. I'm trying to develop new personas here. Thank you to everybody that's been using our Amazon links. If you don't know about that, we got to do something else. If you don't know about that, there is a link down below to Amazon. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, use our link and it gives us a tip. So we get a little percentage of whatever you buy on Amazon. All right. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah, people. So I'm on this thing where I don't want to support China anymore. I'm done with them. So I don't want to buy Chinese stuff if I can help it. Now, some Chinese stuff you have to buy, right? But they're getting on my last nerve, right? Cheap stuff. Here, let's just take this video on a wild. This is an ice maker. I bought this for my old freaking Kenmore refrigerator, right? About a year and a half ago. Plugged that sucker in to my old school Kenmore refrigerator. Guess what? Worked perfect. Oh Lord, I had an ice maker again. I even have a vintage refrigerator, people. Worked great for about a year. And now it's dead. It's made in China because they make the crap in China. Everything's made in China. So I had to buy a new board for it, the module in it. And I looked around and I found one from about 15 years ago, new old stock that's made in the United States. So hopefully it'll be a little better, right? So my whole thing was, I'm trying, if I can help it. You can't do it on everything, but if I can help it, I'm trying to buy a made in USA. And would you look at this? Made in USA. I'm pretty sure that is the Windex people. But you know, a little secret is, this is kind of heavy. Anything heavy they make in the United States, because they don't want to ship it all the way around the country, all around the world. All right, so anyway, I appreciate that. So I was going to say, there's tons of stuff on Amazon that's made in the United States. So some of the stuff that we use in our repair videos, if you look on our website, go to lionsarcade.com, there is a parts page linked at the top of the page. And we've got a bunch of things listed on there that we use in our repair videos. And we list on there where it's made. So some of it's made in China. A lot of it's made in the USA. Some of it's made in France even. Japan. So we're trying to just list that. So maybe people will start paying a little more attention about where all of our junk comes from that we all buy. I'm just as bad as you are. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just saying I'm trying to change to pay attention to where I buy stuff from. If I buy this, I'm supporting, you know, Americans having a job. And it's not a American-only thing, too. I just don't specifically like one country's stuff. If that said made in Germany, I'd be like, ooh. If it said made in Italy, I'd say, oh, fragile. Right? So it's nothing like that. It's just I'm trying to get away from the cheap crap, like my ice maker. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. Little tangent there. Don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. I'm over there with him on his channel a lot too. The link is down below, but we will see you next time whenever we get a little farther on this. I've got to wait for these coils to come in though, but we'll get her up and running and hopefully we can play it a little bit. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic game. So we'll see you on the next video. Have a good evening.